Warmest greetings from your friends in the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Philippines. Before I go any further with the topic that I want to share with you, let me take this opportunity to thank you all for sponsoring our trip here in Hawaii to attend the Our Whole Lives Training of Trainers. At the same time, my deepest gratitude for this invitation to be your minister in residence. Today, what I will be speaking about is church partnership. How can a church partnership be an enriching experience for everyone? How can we get connected and involved in this initiative? What can we do as individual members and as a congregation? What can we learn in this process? First, let's talk about what is church partnership. The Unitarian Universalist Partner Church Council, in its mission statement, mentions about global connections, building bridges, reaching across boundaries, transformational opportunities, global friendship, among others. In my perspective, church partnership is a process of building connections with people in a church setting, helping each other to grow morally and spiritually, learning from each other's lived experiences, valuing and respecting each other's culture, beliefs, and traditions, supporting social justice works, and providing any other form of assistance as the case may call for. Church partnership can really be an enriching experience for us. Probably we may ask why. It's because you get a chance to discover new culture, new ways of living, new ways of thinking, and new ways of understanding religion. You get the chance to witness how local UU folks live out their faith and their values. You have the opportunity to travel and explore the beauty and charm of the Negros Island, which is the birthplace of Unitarian Universalism in the Philippines. And if you have extra money, you can explore the 7,100 plus islands of the Philippines. So that's how big our archipelago is. I can say the church partnership program was one of the important milestones in the life of the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Philippines these past years. When it started more than a decade ago, one of our primary purposes is to get connected with the rest of the UU world and to build a strong church-to-church relationship. We expect a partnership that can help us understand what is global Unitarian Universalism, the continuously evolving UU faith, the diversity among us, and to deepen our own faith, help provide religious education materials, help build our small church buildings, learning and sharing each other's lived experiences. But surprisingly, over the years, some of these partnerships have evolved into more than just a church-to-church relationship. Those who had the opportunity to travel to the Philippines in one of the pilgrimages in the past years have experienced a life enriching encounter with the local UU folks. Several of those who visited the first time and were impacted by their encounters came back again for the second time, and few others for the third time. Pilgrims traveled to the mountains where many of our small congregations are located. In some cases, they have to walk for hours in an uphill and downhill dirt road to reach the place. So that's how challenging our congregations are located in the Philippines. Notwithstanding the difficulty in reaching out our congregations, pilgrims wholeheartedly hurdled their way to reach these congregations. Upon arrival, they were greeted with Filipino warm hospitality and a huge smile. Many of our local UU folks live in poverty, no stable job to sustain the family, and no land of their own to grow crops. Surprisingly, some have big families. And the difficult part of it is the fact that they don't have access to public health care. Access to education is another piece of the problem for most of the family. Although there are public schools, but the schools are hours away, and the only way to get there is to walk your way to the school. Some students have to cross rivers, which is quite dangerous during rainy days. Some have to walk 3 or 4 hours to reach their schools. But despite of these many struggles, local UU folks in remote villages continue to live their lives with optimism. Living in scarcity is not unusual among your UU brothers and sisters in the Philippines. For them, no matter how hard life is, as long as they wake up each day, knowing their family are safe, and sharing a simple meal, it's always a blessing to be thankful for. Philippine UUs are very hopeful that one day God will gonna answer their prayers, that one day God will help them change their lives as long as they keep their faith strong and live a life without doing harm to other people. Most of the Philippine UU churches are one small building. Most of these church buildings are not completely done. Some have no electricity and no water connection. All churches, except the National Church, have no aircon, but others are lucky to have electric fans. So when you go there, don't forget to bring your, whatever that will make you comfortable, because we don't have, some of our churches has no electricity, so we don't have fans, we don't have aircon, so it's a different experience if you go there. There's no church office, no kitchen, and some even have no toilets. All ministers are not paid. So all of our ministers are doing all this voluntarily, being the minister of their congregations. But luckily, with the support of UUMA, the UU Ministers Association here in the US, they have this funds they call 50-25. So it's a celebration of those who reach 50 years in service and 25 years in service. So they were able to share some of those funds in the Philippines. And those money we use to give honorariums to our minister. So it's like, $40 for like in 1 year that we're sharing that money with our ministers. But luckily, some of those ministers or those congregations who have partner church, their partners here in the US gave them a monthly stipend. So it's not that big, it's like $10 per month as their share or support to the ministers in those congregations. Secondly, how can we get connected and involved in church partnership program? What can we do as individual members of our church? Or what can our church do? The Unitarian Universalist Partner Church Council, I don't know if you hear about UUPCC or the UU Partner Church Council. So they are an organization that helps build connections or working towards this church partnership. UUPCC has been doing an awesome job for many years now, connecting UUs across cultures. They were able to connect North American UU churches to UU churches in the Philippines, in Khasi Hills in Northeast India, in Transylvania, and several other countries. There have been many struggles in the work of UUPCC, and that is maybe because of lack of readiness and understanding of other churches about church partnership program. So how can we know more about this program? So you will know more about this program by checking the website of the UUPCC, and they have all the guides if you want to connect to other churches outside the US. The process may take some time, But let's just be patient about it. They're just making sure that they gave you, or they gave our congregation or our church a good match. Because in that partnership program, the local or the church-seeking partner, they have the certain expectations. And so they will discuss about that expectations with you to know if you're ready to commit or to give to that expectation of those churches who are seeking partners. But if I get it right, the first Unitarian Church of Honolulu, your congregation, had already been in partnership with the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Philippines, Caican congregation, many years ago, as mentioned by the Reverend Mike Yang. So the Reverend Mike Yang, Reverend Jennifer Kwong, Nan Kleiber, and maybe other people have visited Caican congregations and seen for themselves the life, the experience of the people in Caican congregation. They have wonderful stories to tell you about this interesting congregation by the beachfront. And did you know that your congregation have been involved in some community projects there in Caican? Yes, you know it. Probably. Yes, your financial assistance started a seawall project there years ago. So your initiative becomes an eye-opener for local officials. And as a result, they have allotted a small part of their annual fund to help construct the seawall. Although the seawall project is still a work in progress, but what is important, you have been part of that wonderful initiative. And not only that, the women group from your congregation has supported also the college education of Ruth Charis Kimada. Fortunately, Ruth Charis is in the final year in college right now and expected to graduate by March with a degree in education. Isn't it wonderful? It's a good job. You have your hand into it already. Some of you may have contributed to that, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. But I believe that you can do more in this initiative. And very optimistic that most of you will get involved into this program. Lastly, what can we learn through the partnership program? I can say that there were many opportunities to explore that could simply change the way you look at the world around us. The way you experience life is a way more advanced compared to these village people who learn the hard way. Their lived experiences are something that we can learn and reflect upon. Through the partnership efforts, we can become part of a life-changing and life-transforming mission to make a difference in other people's lives. Your story can be an inspiration to them that could motivate them the more to work for their dreams. Sharing your story and learning their stories can be one of the enriching experiences that this church partnership program can bring to you. Currently, there were 8 UU congregations from the Philippines who have partners from different parts of the U.S. Each partnership has different stories to tell. Their experiences with their partners in the Philippines bring a great impact to their lives. As a result, they connect and deepen their relationship with their partners, and they make more people in their respective congregations involved in this program. And one of the amazing outcomes of church partnership was the opportunity to send many poor students to school in the Philippines. Elementary, secondary, and few college students were given the educational support by their partner churches. Some partners have made big difference in the community because of the projects that benefited not only UU members, but at the same time, the whole community that includes other faith denominations. Some of the projects were helping the community to have electricity, concrete pavement, sending books for children, school supplies, Christmas packages, which is a big thing in the Philippines, Christmas. Providing laptop and printer to the congregations, and helping church building repairs. But don't get overwhelmed by all of this. Church partnership will not oblige you to do beyond what you can do. Church partnership is about living out our values and deepening our faith through connection, compassion, and commitment to each other. It is not oppressive in a way that it requires voluntary action from you. It all depends on how much you can give or how much you can commit. Each UU churches have their own coordinators who would facilitate all the works. And here we have Sheila and Nan working together to work on this partnership effort by your congregation. And my colleague, Reverend Elvie, has something to share with you also today. So let's give her the chance.
Thank you, Arman. Good morning again. Let me first express my deepest thanks to your church for sponsoring our travel and other costs in order for me and Arman to attend the Our Whole Lives Trainers Training. It has been a wonderful and a new learning experience for us. Second, to our host families, Nan and Perry, for hosting me, and for Mike and Nancy for Arman. Thank you so much for welcoming us to your home. My becoming a member of the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Philippines was a unique one. It was through an illness. I was in my 5th grade at that time. The whole family got sick. Almost the whole family laid flat on the bed, except for my father. Usually, people in the villages don't go to the hospital. So we did not go to the hospital. But we had a healer, a folk healer, or a spiritual healer, they called. And he was the late Reverend Rodolfo Ingano, a Universalist minister. According to him, what the family suffered was not an ordinary sickness. So, as his way of healing us, he did something which until now I am still wondering what it was. I don't have to tell you the details, but we got healed. Because of this experience, the whole family decided to join Reverend Ingano's church, the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Philippines. Reverend Ingano was one of those who attended the lecture by Reverend Mike Young on healing at the UUCP. We got involved with the local church, the Aquino UU congregation. And that was my first experience and participation with UUism in the Philippines. In 1995, I became one of the UUCP scholars to take up Bachelor's of Theology degree at Silliman University Divinity School in Dumaguete City, Negros Oriental, Philippines. There, I met other UUCP scholars studying at Silliman. Then I fall in love, and later got married to Percy Mark Sienes, the youngest son of Reverend Rebecca Quimada Sienes. While we were at the Divinity School, the UUCP leaders always reminded us to behave at Silliman, to behave well at Silliman, especially to never question our theology professors, since they are all Trinitarians. Then I had learned that the late Reverend Toribio Esquimada, the founder of Universalism in the Philippines, was labeled as troublemaker because he kept on asking questions to his theology professors. And this was the reason that he did not graduate at the Silliman University Divinity School. Another thing that I am reminded of UUCP's leadership at the time was the uncertainty of our finances. Because of irresponsible ways of managing the church, the UUA cut off 50% of its grant to the UUCP. We wrote to Reverend Rebecca Quimada Sienes, who was a student at Meadville-Lombard Theological School, and informed her about our situation. She helped us financially for our school needs, and simultaneously, she also made negotiations with UUA leaders regarding their grant to UUCP. We also asked help from our parents for our food. The most embarrassing thing that happened was that the electricity was cut off because the church has unsettled electric bills for the past months. And so when our classmates came to church to visit us, we always made sure that they will go back home before dark. And I will never forget that experience. In October 1996, Reverend Rebecca Quimada Sienes finally came home to the Philippines and finished her last 2 years of Master of Divinity Studies at Silliman University as a student at large of Meadville-Lombard. Her presence was great inspiration to us, the UUCP scholars, and a blessing to the UU communities in the Philippines as well. She took the leadership of the church, and immediately administrative reforms were instituted. Financial policies were in place, and in 1997, for the first time, an auditor from Silliman University conducted an external audit of UUCP funds. Reverend Ken McLean from the UUA attended the April UUCP convention and witnessed the first external audits reports presented to the delegates of the convention. Since then, every year, the church is spending a substantial amount of money for external audits, auditing the local funds of the UUCP and also the UUCP local congregations. Indeed, it is expensive, but it means a lot in terms of fiscal management and strengthening the church's financial sustainability. Now we are very proud of UUCP. We are very proud of the current leaders. We are seeing and smelling its brighter and stronger future. We are having more professional workers in the office. The UUCP is grateful to you, First Unitarian Church of Honolulu, for your financial support to the Seawall Project and other related activity to respond to the climate change challenges with your partner church, UU Caican congregation. Currently, the Caican UU folks are very grateful to the Seawall Project because it helps to control shoreline erosion. It means people can sleep soundly in the evening, even when there is a storm. The church is beginning to rehabilitate the watershed in Nataban, San Carlos City, which was the place where Reverend Toribio Quimada gave birth the Universalist faith. It is our direction to create a 17 hectares rainforest to bring back a real biodiversity. And it will be in Nataban, the first place in the country where Universalism was preached by the late Reverend Toribio Quimada. It is our sacred place, and it is our home. In order to address the issue on poverty and knowing that education is the best tool to fight poverty, the UUCP started an education program for elementary, high school, and college students, specifically among the Philippine partnered churches. Of the 8 partnered congregations, only Caican has no existing education program except for Ruth Charis Quimada and Antoinette Lacpao, although Antoinette education support has stopped because of what had happened to her sponsor. I am grateful to the Honolulu Women's Federation for their support to Ruchi Quimada. She will be graduating this March 2018, and hopefully she will become a teacher. This education program means a lot to the recipient, to his or her family, and to UUCP in general. Our most recent program is the Our Whole Lives program. The church started our Whole Lives a year ago, along with Reverend Jory Agati, and we are very grateful to Nan Kleiber for sharing her all expertise to our UUCP facilitators last May 2016. Next month, upon Arman's return, we will begin our visit to congregations, the 28 congregations, to orient the parents about the OWL education. So we'll begin it first with the parents because they are the most kind of skeptical about this program. It will be very interesting and challenging. As Unitarian Universalists carrying the message of hope, may I invite you to please help us support our programs, especially the education program, with your partner church in Caican. It is your way of sharing hope to these children to have a brighter future and move up a step to the never-ending cycle of poverty. May you be bold enough in crossing the bridge and to witness the other side. So be it.
And finally, I invite you to reflect upon this quote from William Ellery Channing that says, May your life preach more loudly than your lips. We are called to do the work of justice and to share the virtue of love and compassion. May your hearts and souls be well, that it may see the needs of the world. Amen.
Amen.